let's talk about New Mutants, right? So
New
New
Mutants.
Mutants was that movie that was supposed to come out like 20 years ago when I was 4 years old, in the X-Men franchise. But seriously, it was supposed to come out a couple years ago,
It's
and
been
now
delayed 8 times.
it's coming soon. We still don't have a date because of COVID, and at this point, many people, even before COVID has delayed and closed movie theaters, thought this should be released on demand. Right? We just release it
Put on
online,
Disney Plus.
put it on Disney Plus, pay for it, whatever you want to do. The audience who's going to see it in the movies is going to see it anyway. They're going to pay for it, right? Because we want
Yep.
to see it and we have nothing else to do. So the New Mutants released another teaser trailer, kind of showcasing the characters a little bit more closely, their names, kind of like their own personal trauma while they're in that facility. Shows off some of their powers. We see some cool stuff with magic. Um, Me personally, this did shed a little bit more light. It kind of feels like the institution that they're in, or the person running it, is inflicting these kids and making them see these terrors and tortures to kind of keep them trapped in this facility because they're a danger to the world. That's kind of my thought process after seeing this and all the other evidence. But I gotta,
It's a Saw movie.
yeah, it's like a new Mutant Saw movie. It's a Mutant Saw movie, right? Like they're
Like
trapped in
halfway through,
there.
it's like I have a game for you.
You're trapped in there. You're a danger to society. We gotta control you. We're gonna keep you scared and keep you sedated to stay in here. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Um, I'm still looking forward to this movie. This trailer didn't really add anything to me. Like, it was cool to see Magic's powers. It's cool to see some of the other stuff. A lot of it was stuff we've already seen. I'm at the point where I'm done watching trailers for this. I'm done watching teasers. I'm done with news about this. I just need the movie already. And I'm still one of the advocates for this movie. I know many people don't care about this movie, or they're tired of it, or it's not even on the radar anymore. I just don't want to see this movie. I'm just done with you teasing me. Just give me what I want, kind of deal. You know, just
Give
it's
it to
my
me.
movie and I need it now. You
I
know.
need it now.
What did you think, man, about this teaser?
Yeah, I thought the teaser was actually pretty good.
Okay.
And obviously they don't really have a choice, right? Like they just have to keep teasing it every couple months because it's supposed to come out and then it gets delayed, or it's supposed to come out and then there's COVID, and it's like
People are
it's like
gonna
the
forget
movie.
about this movie
Yeah,
eventually.
exactly, and that's why they're teasing it still, and they're throwing like little tidbits out there because, you know, the public's gonna forget because the next thing's gonna happen. And this movie's kind of going by the wayside, and we still have, you know, obviously the question of, all right, this is the last kind of Fox made movie, so is this kind of the end of the line? Like, does this movie even matter?
Is it even in canon? Because it might still be
Yeah,
in the MCU. It
I
could.
don't think it is. I don't think it is at all.
I don't know. They could if MCU wanted it to be, it will be kind of
Yeah,
deal.
and I don't think they want it to. I just think they want it like to be gone. But which isn't saying any, like how good the movie is. I just don't think it's like, hey, this was not part of our plan. This was before we are doing whatever we're doing now.
But we know they're keeping Deadpool.
They are,
You
but
know, so
I
like
don't know
if
if they're
this is
doing a
already
sequel.
successful,
Well, yeah, I mean, they're keeping Deadpool because Ryan Reynolds is funny as shit, right?
yeah,
Like they're keeping Deadpool because it made $1 billion.
it worked and it worked.
And it worked.
Period.
Not saying this isn't gonna make $1 billion, but also saying this isn't gonna make $1 billion.
No, I think that's a safe assumption. It's not making $1 billion.
Safe assumption. I hope it's good. To me, it seems, especially from the trailer point, to me it makes it seem almost like magic is the cause of all of this.
Which makes sense because of her innate abilities, right? She connects with other dimensions,
Yeah,
and her primary dimension of choice is
Limbo.
limbo with all the demons, right? So
Yeah,
it could easily see that, and we see images of like Demon Bear, right? And that's like a character in old X-Men lore. You know, guys, the demon and the bear. Don't worry about it, right? And like he comes in and he's playing a part in it, so it could be that she's the whole point of it.
maybe.
Mike,
And
okay,
maybe that's an avenue for the Shadow King to come through.
easily.
Because I think he's supposed to be the main antagonist in this, if I
I
recall from like last year.
I think
But
so, but I don't know if that's changed since we learned that fact.
maybe. But if that's the case, that would make sense. And Magic maybe because of her Soul Taker sword, like accidentally manifest these powers into these kids. So like she's kind of the cause of it.
Or the Shadow King
Both
infects.
sides.
The Shadow King could affect like the head caretaker,
True.
and she is the reason that she, with the help of Shadow King, is torturing these kids for their own amusement to get them stronger. That could
Maybe.
be it.
But I think regardless, it's going to be tough to. It's going to be a tough movie because you're taking young superheroes, and not saying it's not going to work, but it's going to be really tough to pull off. And you know, and the delays aren't just the movie. You know, oh, we have to reshoot this, we have to reshoot this because it's wrong. But it's going to be really tough because you have like young kids who are going to be like in this horror dimension with powers. It's a lot to kind of like put the pieces in. I think it's cool though that they're taking, you know, Fox was willing originally to take this chance and be like, let's do it like this.
Yeah.
But I know you were a lot more gung ho on this movie than I was from the get go. Again, I'm not writing it off completely, but to me, I think out of the characters, right, like X-Men fans know Magic probably the best because she's the sister of Colossus.
Correct. She's probably the most recognized. I agree.
Yeah, like her and maybe like Wolfsbane.
Because that's the werewolf, right? People know werewolves.
People like werewolves.
Yeah.
But you know, like I think Magic, if they, you know, again, Magic isn't like an A-list character, but if they kind of focus on like, hey, this is her issue with dimensions and portals and limbo, and you know, I doubt we'll see Nightcrawler, but you know, Nightcrawler when he blips,
he goes through it.
He goes through dimensions and he sees a bunch of stuff in that fraction of a second where he goes. So there's great comic storylines with Nightcrawler and like dealing with what he sees.
Oh, do you remember what was it? I think
Flames.
X-Men Evolution, the TV show, where they slow it down so he could actually see what happens in there, and he gets freaked
Doesn't
out.
He get stuck in one episode? He's stuck in there. And
that's when I learned. That's when I learned about Nightcrawler, and that's how he teleports. I didn't know that before.
I love how bad X-Men Evolution is.
Oh, it's so good. Stop. That show is perfection. It's fantastic.
It's great. Compared to X-Men '92, calm down.
That's a whole different thing.
It's not as bad as Wolverine and the X-Men.
I didn't hate that.
I didn't hate it either. I've seen them all, and I like X-Men Evolution. I'm just saying it's amazing. It's like a bad TV show you love.
Yeah, it's like
it's greatly bad.
Let's take the X-Men and do it a twist, and they're like, "Oh, in school." I'm like, "Yeah, I love it."
Like regular school, like not
yeah.
like Xavier's is just like their house.
It's like the creators of that show. They're like, all right, we wanted to make My Hero Academia before that was a thing. Let's do this.
But I love their high school like hijinks stuff. And,
and the bullies are the Brotherhood, right? How great was that?
Yeah, like it's great because like Toad is so dirty, and you're like, really, you're getting bullied by this guy? But it's like Blob. It's like the weirdest bullies ever. It's like the fattest kid in school, the dirtiest kid in school.
But they were strong.
And then like Mystique's like running around as like the hot bomb.
It's so
That's
weird.
Who
she is. But
and like all the cool kids are nerds somehow. Like Jean is like the hottest girl in school, but a nerd.
Makes sense, right?
So weird.
Getting back to the New Mutants talk, right? And this might be a mute point depending on what gets announced at Comic-Con at home, right?
Yeah.
But do you think
they will have a panel?
Yeah, I was gonna say at Comic-Con at home, do you think we're gonna finally hear when this movie's coming out, what's the release date, and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay. I know that was the easy question, but yeah.
I think that's fine, but I think you know it's a question that needs to be asked, right? Like Comic-Con at home is not only just like, hey, we're doing this for you guys, which you know there's a lot of people in the entertainment business who are like, this is all for you, which I'm hinting at the next conversation we're gonna have, but like. In reality, it's like, hey, we're the biggest Comic-Con in the world. We signed thousands of things on dotted lines for money and publicity, and we have legal like action that's going to be taken upon us if we don't get this out. So
yeah,
Comic-Con at home is necessary. Like everyone is like, oh, this is BS. Like, yeah, you got your ticket refunded, but they have to release this stuff in some way because they signed all these contracts with. You know, movie companies, comic companies, all these massive companies, they're sitting there, well, how am I going to promote my shit? And this is the way they have to do it. So it's one of those things next week that's going to happen regardless, but it has to happen. So I think, yes, to answer your question, yes, it's going to happen. And maybe, brace yourself, might be another trailer. Might be another trailer for this movie. Again, it's a movie that was supposed to come out like early last year.
I mean, if it's a trailer that shows me the villain, I think I'll be all right.
I mean, but it might fall into the trope of like, have we just shown the whole movie at
Yeah,
this
it
point?
will. Let
And
me
my hope
go
is,
ahead.
I hope they just say they'll announce the date, but my hope is they just say for Disney Plus at this point.
But if it
Like,
says for Disney Plus, that is to me saying this is connected to the MCU.
no, doesn't have to be. They just Disney Plus just put like this month all the Fox X-Men's on Disney
Oh, I
because
didn't know that. So
the rights finally
touche.
came over.
I didn't know that
So
they did
you
all
can,
that.
yeah, like you can just put it
Okay.
on Disney Plus, and you can during the Comic-Con panel say this is not part of the MCU. This is its own thing. This was originally made by Fox, whatever, and just say, it's coming out on Disney Plus because streaming is killing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Netflix is
Will
now
you pay
spending
$20 to
crazy
watch that
money.
movie
Absolutely not.
on Disney Plus?
Absolutely not.
Would you pay any amount of money to watch a movie in Disney Plus?
No,
No.
because no, they've been putting stuff up like the numbers for just throwing Hamilton up there
Oh, how
are
great was?
ridiculous.
Oh, we
Right?
can. Yeah.
Like the numbers are ridiculous. Like the amount of which is extremely smart for Disney's side, right? Because there's a huge sect of people out there who, don't give a shit about comic book heroes and Star Wars
Sure.
and even Disney characters, but they're really into theater, right? And those people now subscribe to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So they just got another 50 million people subscribed. Netflix is now putting $200 million into a new Russo's
Oh
brothers
yeah, I was gonna
movie
say the new Russos.
with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, which is supposed to be like their kind of like James Bond movie.
Let me get back to one last question about Comic Con before we move on. With, with Comic Con at home, right?
Yeah.
Like every con, like this is such a small question, but this is just my curiosity. Like every con you go to, you could buy merch, exclusive merch for the con, right?
Yeah.
Like New York Comic Con's known for this. You could buy the New York Comic Con shirt. You could buy special limited edition books and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
Exclusive
I know
comics.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know San Diego Comic Con does that as well. With this being Comic Con at home, do you think they're gonna have that kind of stuff like on a website? I don't know this. Maybe you do. Maybe I'm just ignorant. But like, will they have this on their website? Like you could buy it, and if
I actually don't
so,
know.
do you think it would like sell out? Like Comic Con at home first ever, like that shirt. Like that's something I would buy because like that's cool. But like, do you think it's gonna be sold out in like 2 seconds, kind of deal?
Maybe. I honestly don't know. That's a good question. I know as far as like vendors and comics, local comic stores and other vendors, they've been doing a lot of Facebook Live like biddings where it's like, hey, here's like a first Gambit, here's an X-Men first Gambit. Bidding starts at $75, and people could go on the Facebook Live and bid almost like an eBay bid, and it gets sold right on the spot. Or they have a variant sale, right? Like these are $5, like first person to message me kind of gets it, and they hold it to the side for that person. So some of the vendors have been doing that to make some money. I don't know as far as like Comic-Con itself, like hey, San Diego SDCC at home shirt $20. For them it'd be like 35.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm sure they'll mention it during the opening. I know they're partnering with like IGN as far as like getting it out there and streaming it live because IGN does a lot of live stuff. So that might be on like one of the opening days, like or every other quote unquote commercial break will be like make sure you check out the Comic-Con store or something like that.
Right, makes sense.